You have Patrick Findaro here, co-founder at Visa Franchise and Vetted Biz. Excited to have on Ricardo Azevedo. He's the CEO of Woof Gang. We've had a few clients from Visa Franchise invest in Woof Gang so far. We've known the brand for the last 5 years, but Ricardo came in after another group made a major investment to grow from what was 100, 120 units to what will be 500 plus units for the years to come. So Ricardo, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks. A pleasure to be here. Really excited. We have a lot of great discussions since I joined. I really appreciate your channel, and I share a lot of, think, the same vision on how to grow franchise system in a sustainable way with the franchisees always in the top of mind. So it's a pleasure to be here to talk to you today.
And Ricardo, I mean, you were a hotshot running Tim Hortons for the United States, rolling out their new type of model. Why leave, a publicly traded franchising company to go into a business that, what at the time at 130, 140 units?
140 units, probably. Yeah, it's a very good question, but I'll be honest, Patrick. Wolfgang was really a dream come true for me. I think it combined two of my personal passions in probably one of the most exciting opportunities that I ever faced in my professional career. So as you were mentioning, in the past 12 years or so, I've been working on growing franchise brand in the US and also across the globe. And I learned what it takes to make a franchise brand successful, and I really love that. And I'm also a dog lover myself and a proud dad of two Lily. And I really believe in the bond between humans and dogs, and be able to contribute to this bond and enhance the lives of pets through the Woof Gang brand is really, really fulfilling and personally very, very rewarding. So Woof Gang combined those two passions in a huge opportunity to build the largest pet franchise brand in the US and why not across the globe. And also that we discussed is, if you think about it, for me, it never makes sense that in one of the most exciting and fast-growing industry in the US, that is the pet industry, we don't have any franchise brand with more than 1,000 stores. In all other industry, like hair salon, wax, massage, the fitness industry, you name it, when you take the three largest franchise brands, you have way above 1,000 stores. And in the pet grooming industry, we are the market leader with now 170 stores. So very fragmented industry, huge opportunities. And that's why when I saw the brand and everything that was behind, it was a very easy jump, actually.
So the macro scenario made a lot of sense. And it's not like a turnaround. Like Wolfgang was already doing well, already had pretty good unit level economics. Why was it already successful when you came in?
Yeah, so I think right now we are North America's lead professional pet grooming brand with a really fast growing presence, as you mentioned. Currently, we have more than 250 locations that are either open or under development. And I think what really contributed to the success of the company, I really believe, is the focus on commitment on the grooming side. I think today the grooming accounts for more than 65% of the revenues. And if you look around, most of the pet brands that are involved in the franchise business, they try to do everything, right? They do boarding, they do the training, they also do grooming, or they focus on the retail. And I really believe that focus is the way to achieve excellence. So Wolfgang focus to do a few things right, then in my view is better than trying to do everything halfway, right? So that's, I think, what made Wolfgang so successful when we acquired, was really the focus on creating the best place from a grooming standpoint, and also being the best place for treats. Our retail side of our business is a boutique experience, very, very focused on items that you probably won't find in other places, and really focus on treats. Our guests really recognize us as the best place to buy treats. So I think the outcome of those two areas also generates really good returns from the franchisee as well. I think the economics on the grooming and the treat side of the business is very favorable for the franchisee. So I think you focus on areas that are actually delivering on a very clear customer needs with good returns for the franchisees in the end of the day, I think what made the overall franchise system very successful for Wolfgang.
And for the grooming side, it's not, at least, I mean, you would know much more than me, but for me as a consumer with a Bernedoodle, like, I can't go online and like just find a random groomer, but I could go online and find someone to watch my dog for a week,
Yes.
versus a overnight stay kind of pseudo competitor of yours that's kind of doing everything, grooming, overnight stay. Where I mean, I don't know how they, for such a heavy build out and the ongoing expenses of running like a 24/7 operation, like I don't know how
Yeah.
you make the financials work, or how, how you can get the money back fast in that scenario.
And I think, Patrick, that goes back to your first question on why Wolfgang. That became very clear for me. Like you, we study the industry a lot. We know the returns, we know the economics. And when I saw what was the economics on the boarding industry, like 8+ year in terms of returns, right?
It's
You
better just like buy an ETF and just like,
Exactly. You're spending over $1 million. So even the type of profile of franchisees that you can work, it really changes. And I think on the grooming side, no, you're still on the lower side of the capex. I think you don't have the competition of the Chewy's and Amazon of the world that actually is putting a lot of challenges on the small independent brands in the retail pet in the US. But when you are in the grooming, that's very protected. But there were very few concepts that take the grooming. There is a very fragmented industry, and actually put science, process, and technology to bring standard and build something that can differentiate in the marketplace. And I think the economics on the grooming industry is probably the best if you take the pet industry and broke them down in terms of what the business you could be doing on it. That the grooming business by far, and where the Wolf Gang position itself, I think it's in the prime of the economics there. And again, it's a large industry, right? Like it's not something that is you have alternatives or at some point in time is going to change. Like people are always going to have to take care of their dogs and groom their dogs, and that's not going away. So I think it's an industry that is growing really fast and will continue to grow. And I think having a strong brand behind with the right customer service that we're very proud to provide, I think give us a lot of confidence in our growth pace and how we can continue to consolidate the industry.
and for the groomers, like, are they W-2 employees or are they contractors where they're only getting paid if they provide a service? How does that work?
No, they W2, and but they do work on a commission base that I think is a great model for our franchisees, because there is a lot of ownership on the groomer side in order to be the clientele. So there is a very like ownership mindset when you think about building a groom salon, because they also get on a commission base and the customer service and the accountability.
Yes.
So that's why it's the Wolfgang model works really well. We have the owner in the store working, building up their clientele. They know the dog's name. They know all they call the dogs by name. They know the best tricks. They know how the dogs look. There is this involvement, the personal side that is really big. And that translates to the grooming too, because they also very accountable and create the customer service level in order to get their repetitive revenues in the long run.
You mentioned like the capex, capital expenditures to get the business open. From what I understand, it's like 250K to open a Wolfgang.
Yeah, right now I think all in, when you consider all like the also working capital, the rents, return, all that, which our latest FDD is around 280.
Okay, cool.
280 is around 1,500 square feet is the kind of our average space right now. And it's 280 is the initial capital investment.
So besides the initial capital investment of 280, which I imagine a lot of people are taking SBA loans, maybe they have 60K, 90K, then they get a loan for the rest. What are you looking for when you select franchisees, and really making sure they align with your mission, your core values?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, Patrick. We spend a lot of time internally and with our board actually discussing the importance of selecting a good franchisees. I think selecting the right franchisees become the only way that we can grow in the pace that we are growing in a sustainable way. And there is basically two things that we see success, and that was not like rocket science. Look to our system, say who are our successful franchisees today, and it comes down to really two things. The number one is you need to be a pet lover. Like if you
Yeah.
are not aligned to what we believe as a brand, it's going to be very hard that you're going to do a good job in the store. So you need to have pets, own pets, believe in the bond that we all believe it here internally, and bring our brand values to life in the store. Have that customer service mindset is also very important, but also wanting to develop a business in your community. Like we don't see Woof Gang as a passive investment, like that you can
Yeah.
do from far away and not being very close to the business. No, it's you need to be there. You need
Hands
to be
on.
involved. You need to be involved in the day to day, especially in the beginning of the operations. But being proud about what you do in your community, it's also what make that customer service. That is what we offer. So if you think about our brand differentiation, is aligned to how we choose the franchisees and how the franchisees are involved in the day to day of the business, and that's what most of our competitors, or especially on the large box, they can deliver in the grooming service. They won't have the owners there every day, and that's what I think make our system so special. Our mission is to create the largest network of neighborhood pet stores. So I think that's globe, one groom and a treat at a time. So and that comes all the way to how we select our franchisees. So we take it very seriously. There is a series of interviews and things that we go over. I personally discuss all the franchisees that are joining the system with our entire field team and our COO, and everybody's involved in that process.
And I think also what differentiates you guys is, yeah, you don't have an internal sales organization. You didn't outsource the franchise sales. You're very on top of it, and you have a high headcount for the franchisor. I mean, how many employees do you have?
I think right now we're at 35. 35.
35 employees supporting 170 franchisees. That's a pretty good ratio.
Yeah, and that's the other belief we have strongly as well. There is, I think, most franchisors see a franchise system. Well, the franchisees will do everything, and you don't need to invest. We don't believe on that, Patrick. I think we believe that a franchise system can only grow if there is investment. It takes a lot to build the training, to build the support, to build all the marketing tools that we were building, to build a training center. Like you need to invest so you can
Yes.
really make sure the values of your brand get spread out and the franchisees can execute. They will execute the business, but you need to provide all the support in order for them to get there. And also, like when you think about the franchisees that join they are pet lovers. They want to have a business in their community. They're not development specialists. They don't know how to go and build a store themselves. So we do a lot of support on the side as well, especially to choose the real estate. I believe it's probably like the most important task in terms of having a successful business is also choosing the franchisee and the real estate. And our team invested a lot to make sure we are in the best place now. So we have really advanced real estate tools that I think for a brand on our side is probably not many will have. And they are fundamental for us to be in the best spots and make sure our future growth is as good as the one we have right now.
And I understand there's more of a trend, and I see it with my friends that have dogs, and even chatting with my wife, just like pet health and wellness, and what food we're giving our dog. How are you guys adapting to that growing trend? And are there any other trends that are
So,
important to discuss?
Patrick, I would say more than adapt, I think that's why Wolf Gang ended up being so successful, because
Okay,
those things
you
were
cared about it.
always they were always in the DNA of the company since the beginning. It was a bakery made of all natural ingredients that just sold like the what is in the best in terms of food
Yeah,
nutrition and treats. And when you start to do grooming, was also with the same mindset to provide experience that was better than the average big box could provide. So I think part of what we always had in our brand was the health and well-being of pets. So when that trend, actually, I think what make the concept very special is very often that we see someone traveling and going to a wolf gang, and that's what they say. They say, we need a wolf gang in my town, we need a wolf gang in my community, because that's what basically we set up to deliver. And since we joined and we're building the team and building the training around these things, just become even more and more top of mind. I think a lot of the trends that we are seeing in our retail, it's all around that, how to have even more like single ingredients, even on the treat side, like no artificial flavor, hormones, or anything. So that's all we work to in our stores. We don't work with any brands that doesn't share the same value. So all the natural chews we sell all those natural chews like in pink buckets that actually is my Lily's favorite part of the of the store, and it's great. You are giving something that your dog will gonna love, and you can feel good about that. Whatever they are consuming, just gonna make them feel better. So that's a big belief. I think we benefit from the trend, let's say, and you're right. It's a big trend today. It's what consumers are expecting, and I think explain a lot of what the growth of the brand so far.
We've touched a little bit on real estate, the training center in Orlando. What other ways do you support and train in the franchisees so they can make an impact in their community as well as make money for themselves?
Yeah, that's a very good question. One that like was mentioned, all these investment that you mentioned goes towards that process, right? We have our internal sales organization. It starts there actually, because if you don't choose right your franchisee, you're gonna have a really hard time trying to get them to execute on your brand strategy. So I think in the end of the day, it's a combination of process that happen. I think the first is through this screening process of who we want to be part of the pack that we call and the Woof Gang family. And then once they are in, I think like they go through more on the development cycle first. When they're getting like 3 months, 2 months to be open their store, they go to Orlando. They spend a whole week there in our training center, and that is a culture immersion. You see, more than like running the details on how to run the store, they're gonna learn our values, our principles. How do we treat our customer satisfaction? How do we deal with our groomers? How do we value what they do? What is the best way of really running a grooming store that has in the top of mind the well-being and the customer satisfaction at top of mind. So they spend a week there on the training, and as their stores is getting close to be ready, then we have a field team that goes and support in the details when you get more in the tactical, learning how to play with the technology, the POS, and all those things. And we support them throughout the grand opening and ongoing as they go through. A lot of our marketing is very neighborhood and community involvement type of market. So we support a lot with the materials and what to do, but we also count on our franchisee to deliver that, because they're the best one to sell their own business. But I think we are building a very robust structure on how to support our franchisees, and the feedback so far has been very positive from the franchisees that are going through the cycle, and exciting to keep evolving as we go.
Are there any particular markets that you're very eager to open up in? I know you have a lot of locations, Florida, Texas, other states, but is there any ones where you're just dying to get a franchisee in?
No, look, we are selling in a lot of new states, and that's the beauty about the brand too. Different than some of the previous brands that I worked in the past, that you need the density, you need the brand presence for the business to be successful. In our business, we are seeing one store in the right place can be very successful. So I think we are very bold on expanding to new states. California is a place that I think our brand is going to do fantastic, and we have a lot, like probably like 7 or 8 franchise agreements sold in California. And I think we're going to do really, really well there. And then like Chicago is a big priority for us. We see a lot of growth in the market, the whole Northeast and Boston. It's just gold mine as you look kind of the type of customers that are there. So I think that's the beauty that we see as well. And that's why I think we believe we can grow very sustainable for a long time, because we are in Florida, very concentrated. We are concentrating in Houston, but we still a lot of space in Texas to grow. The Carolinas, we have a lot of stores. Georgia, we start having a very strong presence as well. But we have a lot of really, really nice place to grow the brand. And I think that's what allow us to have a really, really long way in terms of growth. And yeah, that's super exciting. If we think about how many in Orlando is our most penetrated market, we have probably like 34, 35 stores now. If we extrapolate that to the rest of the country, it's 4,000 stores that we can have across the country. And I think we still have room to grow in Orlando as well. We still have franchisees excited to continue to develop the brand there. So yeah, so I think what we call our total addressable market is really big. We
Quite
just want to
large.
prioritize to be in places where we see the highest potential and make sure we grow in a very sustainable way with franchisees that are super aligned with what we want to build as well.
And what I've seen, I mean, talking to prospective franchisees daily, is people are worried about the labor. And it's a big issue, especially in industries that people don't want to really be working in, whether it's like a fast food joint,
Exactly.
and
Yes.
not super
Yeah.
excited to be going to, work, flip burgers or whatever. But I'd
Yeah.
imagine
Yeah.
it's a little easier at Woof Gang, given that it's in the pet space. How are you seeing the
Yeah.
labor, and how do you help franchisees on the labor side?
So I think that was when I joined, honestly, was in the peak of the labor crisis situation. And I think like in any other industry, our franchisees were always super, it's difficult to recruit new groomers and to build up. And I was looking the other end and say, yeah, just as it is difficult to recruit anyone right now. So I think since then it calmed down, it got much better. But because of that, we invested a lot as well when we joined on our employment branding in the grooming community,
Oh,
so
okay.
Indeed, Glassdoor. So we're doing a lot over there. We also create a lot of centralized, we have a work at wolfgang.com that we can have access. We've been much more active in all the grooming kind of fairs and competition across the country to promote our brand. And I think what helped us is because that's what we do, that's our focus. It's much easier for us to recruit groomer than any other like boarding company that's going to have to recruit one or two groomers, like they want to work where the volume is, where we have the reputation, where is the focus, like where we invest, where we have training, where there is career development. It's much better to be in a grooming salon than where in a place that grooming is like the third or fourth priority for someone to think about.
And
And
there's
that
no
has
like
helped
moving
them.
up. Hours could be limited. I imagine you're able to get
Exactly.
a groomer from somewhere else, and right away they can make more money just given optimization of the scheduling.
That is so true. And also, given the experience that we have with our franchisees, we really learn what is the main pinpoints for groomers working in other place, and we adapt a lot of what we do to be the best place for groomers to work. So if you go to our salons today, the ones we are designing, they have the right space between tables, they have the separations between the different part of the grooming. So the overall grooming experience is not only better for the pets, the dogs, but it's also much better for the groomers. Having the proper place to work with makes a huge difference. And
Good
today
point.
we have that. We have the right lighting, we have the right music in the salon for the groomers. So we thought about everything. We interviewed a lot of groomers, we spoke with a lot of them. And the outcome of all those insights were designing an environment that we believe it's going to be like no one is building in scale that we are building. And with that, we can attract more talent. I think the overall talent acquisition story, it's also not only one thing, it's an overall program like it always. And it touches all that, the value that the brand that you are providing, the ownership of the franchisee being close and being there to support, and also the environment that the groomers are delivering their task. And the priority, we love the groomers. We value their what they do. We also very specialized service that is different than some of the grooming house that want to focus more on the dating and some of the basics. No, we value the creative grooming. We value the technical aspects, and by benefiting that, we have a career growth for the groomers that is probably more exciting than they can find in our competitors.
And for the franchisees joining Wolfgang, I imagine it's kind of you can get what you want from the opportunity. Like where if you just want to have one Wolfgang, or if you want to scale up to 5, 10, you are able to support them, and there's not so much pressure to just keep opening locations.
No, zero. That I think when we learn the beauty and the essence of the brand, that's one of the things that we haven't give any focus on, like large agreements. I think those are good if you're interested in creating, but we don't. We wanna grow in the pace that the franchisee wants to grow. Some franchisees they want one store, just they want something that they can live off, and that's their life.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine for us. as long as they align with the two criteria that I told in the beginning, they are very welcome franchisee in our brand. And we see very successful franchisee with one store that keep growing their business. They keep adding groomers, they keep growing their operations. And we have franchisees that went more to a growth mindset and now have our largest franchisee has 9 or in 8 locations. We have 2 franchisees that are in that size, and it proves that they can manage to the quality that we want at that level. But they didn't start there. They didn't build 10 locations in 2 years. They built 10 locations in many years, and they know their clientele, they know their base, they know their area really well, and then you can grow. That's the mindset that we try to bring. And in the sales process is how it goes too. We don't give like big incentives or discounts for larger deals. We really want to filter the right franchisees, and growth will come as the business perform, right?
Yeah, I've spoken to many franchisors that regretted giving like a territory, especially in a key market, to someone too early that wasn't proven and didn't have a history of success and like multi-unit ownership, because it's really hard. It's a marriage both ways, where the franchisee is signing a 10-year agreement, but also the franchisor, and there's a lot of rights that the franchisee has and that the 100%. Franchisor, even if they don't want them, can't just boot them out.
Exactly. And the commitment on the territories too, right? Like for us, we value a lot our like this is our growth, right? Like, so we want to commit when we have, you already have one, you want to build another one, great. But like committing to a lot of units up front and a lot of territory at this moment of our brand, I don't think it's the way to go. And I think the example that you gave, I've seen before as well, is finding the right pace. Like, we have enough space for everybody to grow, join, and you grow in the space. There are franchisees that want to already commit to 2, 3, that happens, but that's about the size that we've been doing, like 2, 3 stores, and we probably continue like that for the long run.
Any concluding thoughts for prospective franchisees? We have a lot of people that are still in corporate jobs looking to get into entrepreneurship through a franchise, other ones that maybe they've had a business in the past or they're moving countries in the US and they're looking to get into a US franchise. Any pending thoughts for them?
Oh, look, I think we touched on all of the points that is very important for them, right? Like, I think they really need to look for something that they really like doing, that they see in themselves, that they can feel proud about what they're going to be building. Don't believe in the easy. We're seeing a lot of promise on the top 25% will do that and all that. Like, do your study, know that you're going to have to invest the time in the beginning to build something big. Nobody will build a business with no effort or love into it. Like, that's what I've seen. That's what I believe. And that's what I've seen at Woof Gang right now as well. Our franchisees, they're very successful. They invest the time in the beginning. Yeah. And then at some point you can have a consistent cash flow and be very kind of go there once a week.
I usually say like 18 to 24 months. Like, it's 40 to 60 hours.
100%. I think you're right.
Maybe some weeks it's less, but like you should budget
like
for that.
You should count that. And also, like, if you think about building something, you're not going to building something without putting the energy and the love, right? That's what I believe. Like, when I'm into something, I'm in 100%. You put the love, the passion, and the energy to do it. And I think that's what they need to have in mind. Like, shoot for building something really big, but consider that you're going to have to give all the love there. And then, do your study, or like right now with all the FDDs, it's easy to kind of get a good understanding and look for the brands that offer the most favorable economics in average, and try to be better than average, and the economics will be amazing. But that's what I believe. But follow your dreams. We have a lot of franchisees that are extremely satisfied. They build an amazing business for themselves, and they put the energy, and now they're collecting.
Ricardo, what's the best way for those listeners or people watching via YouTube to find out more information about Woof Gang?
Oh, go to our website, woofgangbakery.com, and we also have our franchising webpage that has all the information about us. And if you put any inquiry there, you're probably going to receive a call from someone willing to talk more about and explain how our process works, what we are looking for as well. You have an entire team here to support you in the process.
Perfect. We'll be sure to leave that in the show notes. Ricardo, thanks again for
Thank you,
joining.
Patrick. Thank you. It was a pleasure to talk to you, and let's keep in touch and keep sharing opportunities and ways to getting better.
Appreciate it. Look forward to following your continued success.
Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it. Me too.